Today's country and your all-time favorites. 95.1 The Bull, 8:37 on the morning roundup. Time for our community conversation brought to you by Floyd County Medical Center, online at fcmc.us.com. Joining us here in the bullpen this morning, Chickasaw County Sheriff Ryan Shawver. Ryan, thanks for joining me here this morning.
Good morning, Rob. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So been looking around at some of the various things that we've got talking about. One thing kind of kicking things off, we're already into harvest season, and we chatted with a couple weeks ago with Iowa State Trooper Tom Williams about some of the things to keep in mind, but want to get from your perspective too, with harvest coming up here, some of the things that we want to made aware of, maybe some things we don't know about as we're getting to the harvest here.
Yeah, for sure. Harvest is kind of coming a little earlier than everyone expected this year, doing the dry conditions. So the farmers are getting out there, and moisture levels in the corn are saying it's go time. So they're out there, they're going. You're gonna see a lot more equipment on the road, big equipment. Again, the dust out there on the gravel roads due to the lack of moisture, just can't get rid of it. So be cautious, be courteous when you get up behind a vehicle, a slow moving vehicle, whether it's a combine, tractor, and wagons, whatever it might be. Take the extra time, sit back, enjoy the view. Don't be in a rush to pass them, especially on these gravel roads. Take the time. Be cautious of maybe they're turning into the next field drive, turn into the next cornfield drive, or their bin site. So you never know where they're going to turn. Some of the equipment might not be up to par and be working correctly. So they might not have turn signals because maybe a little older, not as new. So just be cautious. Take your time. Remember, they're going to be out there. They've got a big job to do of feeding America. So just be cautious and sit back and enjoy the view.
Some of the additional things to keep in mind too, like scanning the horizons, because we got a lot of those curvy roads going up and down, and also with another thing is about passing lanes too, is another big important thing as well.
Right. Just because the vehicle is slower and you're in a no passing zone, you still can't pass. Again, take that time. Watch those crests of those hills. Don't pass on hills. Don't pass on the curves. Again, it just slow down. Nothing's going to happen if you take that extra 2 to 3, maybe even 5 minutes just to sit back, make sure it's safe to pass, especially at night. These guys go all hours of the day. They just don't work, 9 to 5. So
any other things you've kind of noticed while people during harvest season, maybe the driving behaviors on the road, that some things kind of slip every now and then?
People just get in too big of a hurry. And you got to remember, these loads are 80, 90,000 pound loads. These tractors can't stop those things on a dime. So even if it's semis too, just slow down. That's the biggest key we can take away from this conversation this morning, is to slow down and respect what they have to do out there as well.
And we remind us also, because deers are going to be out across the road here before you know it. We're getting that point now.
Oh, they're already out there.
They are. Just spotted one this morning driving all the way over here. So
yes, sir.
It just so happens. Ryan Shawver, Chickasaw County Sheriff's Office, joining us here this morning on the Morning Roundup. Another topic of interest, we kind of touched base on this with Mayor Bobby Schwickerath not that long ago. A little bit of some mischief that's been happening here in our neighborhood. Could you touch base on that?
Yeah, I know there's been some instances in New Hampton. We've had some in Nashua where you've got vehicles being broken into. We just heard it this morning over in Charles City on the newscast here that's been happening over there. If your vehicle does sit outside, that's a common thing that happens. Make sure it's locked. Don't leave valuables that are in plain view. Even though you might have a cup full of change, that's might be just enough for somebody to say, hey, I'm going to grab it, get in there and grab that. Pull your keys out, lock your vehicle. If you can leave a light on out front where your vehicle's at, do that. Just deter any type of mischief that might be going on, and maybe they can move on to the next one, or hopefully not at all.
And probably another thing, and I've noticed this because I used to have one myself, one of those audio, those receivers that have a detachable faceplate, because that could be a theft deterrent as well.
Yes, absolutely, for sure. And this day and age, cameras can be a dime a dozen. You can get them off about anywhere. If you've got the Ring doorbell cameras or any type of doorbell camera, it doesn't have to be Ring, can be Simply Safe or whatever it might be. Those options are out there. We encourage people that if you're able to do so, put up a camera or two. That nothing helps out a situation more than that, where maybe might not be you be affected, but maybe your neighbor that was affected. And if we can use that footage to help us find the people, is great.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because now that's becoming kind of a benefit. If you can't see it on one camera, chances are somebody just down the street might just so happens to have a doorbell camera,
yes.
And you can ask them if you can find the perps.
Correct. Ask for their assistance. Maybe you might not see something on there, but maybe somebody else who doesn't look at it a different view might be able to see something that you don't.
Yeah, and then we're going to get, before you know it, in the season where Porch Pirates will return.
And
Before
for
you know
sure,
it.
that holiday season's coming up.
Yeah. So Ryan, joining us here this morning here on the Morning Roundup, kind of giving us some tips about things about locking up vehicles, and also another thing that's is becoming even more so prevalent here in the current times is the current scams that have been going on. I just happened to have one myself this previous week about apparently overdue for some bill, and then I got to send it in gift card form.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you're ever asked to settle up on a bill by a gift card, that's the number one red flag.
Yeah.
These scams can come in the mail. They can be over the phone. Email is a big one, or even a text message. I get text messages all the time that your Amazon account has been locked, or you need to pay this bill to get this done. No, that's just delete them and don't feed into them. If you get a phone call, ask for your social security number. That's another red flag. Or you need to go to the bank and withdraw this because you want some money and you need to pay the taxes on it. It's not how those things work. We take probably 2 to 3 scam calls a day at our office. And it's unfortunate because some people do get taken, and it's very hard to track that down. These people work harder at not doing anything and stealing somebody else's money than if they were actually to go to work and do something productive for society. So it's very frustrating. It's hard to catch these people. We do the best that we can. We have limited resources to do that. If it doesn't sound good, it probably isn't. And give us a call and we'll try to help you work through things, especially if it's a financial thing. Contact your bank. These banks in the county are great. Whoever your bank might be, contact them and let them know what's going on, especially if you've given information out. Contact your bank immediately, or credit card company.
I noticed, especially now that they're using the legitimate logos for a lot of these companies,
Yes.
Almost sounds too good to be true. But the one thing, and I've noticed that people have been pointing it out, if you look at the recipient, like the person who sent that email, kind of go under the more category, you can see it's not a legitimate email.
Correct.
It's like one of these elongated, like 100-character emails.
Right. And if you see that, it might call the company and say, hey, did you send this to me? What's this about? And 9 out of 10 times, it's usually not legit.
Very good. Well, I appreciate you sharing some of that information, Ryan. Chickasaw County Sheriff Ryan Shawver joining us here on the Morning Roundup. Any other info you wanted to share with us this morning as we are moving ahead here in the coming weeks?
Yeah, I did take a couple calls last week. Some concerned citizens. I didn't want to make a big deal about it, but I think it's important to talk about. A lot of with the ATVs and UTVs, a lot of memorial rides coming up, poker runs, benefit runs, whatever they might be. Just a reminder that stay where you're supposed to be. If you don't have permission to be on someone's property, don't go in there. I know it's, especially with the crops coming out, be kind of fun to, hey, let's just cut across this person's field. That field is that person's livelihood. And there might be something down that you might not understand, that they've got fertilizer down or they've got a cover crop down. So let's just stay out of people's property that you don't have permission to be on. If you want to go through the field, maybe find out who the owner is and see if you can get permission. But that's a big thing. These ATVs and UTVs are out there. They're a lot of fun. They can, it's a different mode of transportation for people, but just be courteous of people's property.
What are some of the allowances for ATVs, UTVs? Like where can be situated in our city limits?
Within the city, I'd have to defer to the chief on this one, but I do believe that they can be in the city limits. There's not any cities that I know of in Chickasaw County that limit them. You can't ride them on state highways, only to exit off one level B road, which is a county blacktop or a county gravel road. You can travel on that state highway to the next level B road. So you can't drive on a state highway for miles and miles and miles, but they've got to have headlights, taillights, reflectors on them, have to be insured, have to be registered with the county. So just kind of like a motor vehicle, and you got to have seat belts, and same laws go into effect as those for child restraints as well in those things. Just because you can throw the kids in there doesn't mean they don't have to be restrained. So,
and definitely have the proper headgear as well. The last thing we want to do is somebody who loses consciousness.
Right. It's not required, but it's always a good practice.
Absolutely. Well, Ryan, further information on any of the topics we discussed, or maybe just general questions for you guys, how can we get a hold of you?
You can call our office at 641-394-3121. We've got our county website, ChickasawCountyIowa.gov. Get on there. There's email addresses for us to get on there. And got any questions, give us a call. We'll do the best we can to answer those. If not, we'll find the answer for you.
All right, Ryan. Well, thanks a lot for joining me here on the Morning Roundup. Maybe a couple weeks time we'll come back and talk more stuff. We're getting to October, and sure we'll have some more things we'll be talking about as we have the weather starting to cool off and things setting in motion for fall.
Absolutely. Sounds like a plan.
All right. Chickasaw County Sheriff Ryan Shawver joining us here on the Morning Roundup. We'll have the community conversation posted online at 951thebull.com. This community conversation brought to you by our friends at Floyd County Medical Center, online at fcmc.us.com.